All across the galaxy, the Zaleth Dominion had built a reputation for efficiency. If you wanted a resource, the Zaleth would harvest it. If you needed a weapon, the Zaleth could forge it. And if you required an answer, the Zaleth would dissect your problem until they found a solution. But nothing prepared them for the human. They called it the resilience trial. Heart rate, normal. Adrenaline, elevated but stable. Pain index, off the charts. Still, Keller grinned, like it was funny. They swore they felt colder in the room. One vomited after making eye contact with him. Talzak authorized Protocol Black. Illegal under galactic law. They began nerve, rerouting torture, disconnecting Keller's natural pain filters, and forcing open new pain receptors, making him feel phantom wounds that didn't even exist. Keller screamed then. Once, a long, soul-ripping scream that echoed through the lab. The technicians cheered. Some clapped, but Talzak noticed something different. Keller wasn't trying to fight the pain. He was diving into it. Another passed out from a panic response. Keller never moved, just stared. At one point, he spoke again. "You're not trying to break me? You're trying to understand why it hasn't happened yet." Talzak leaned in, curious. "And why hasn't it human?" "Because I was broken before you ever met me." By hour 6, he had passed the threshold that melted the minds of 6 other species. They initiated Phase 2. Auditory torture. Screams of loved ones synthesized to match his DNA profiles. Whispered betrayals. Deaths of people who never existed but whose faces were reconstructed from Keller's childhood memories pulled from neural traces. He blinked slower. His smile faded, but not from fear. He was bored. "Try phasing his visual cortex," Talzak ordered. "Make him watch himself die." On repeat. Still no scream. Instead, Keller whispered something. The audio captured it. "You think I haven't seen worse." For decades, the Zaleth Dominion had run experiments on conquered species, captured during a deep space raid along the border colonies, where his ship had been reduced to debris and half his squad atomized. Pain induction via direct synaptic stimulation, the kind that bypasses nerves and goes straight to the soul. No external wounds, no blood, just pure internal agony. They started small. Level 1, he blinked. Level 2, he shifted slightly. Level 3, he laughed. It wasn't loud, just a huff through his nose. But every alien in the room paused. "Is there a malfunction?" asked Overseer Talzak, the Zaleth in command. "No, Overseer, he's responding." But he's, what is it? He's smiling. He had no rank markings, no data chip, just blood-soaked fatigues and a face that didn't flinch when they shoved a rifle under his chin. "Scan his cortical responses," one of the lead technicians said. "Already did," replied another. "Strange. Baseline stress levels aren't rising. He's sedated. No, wide awake. Pain thresholds, psychological stress, neural collapse." Their science was surgical, cold, efficient. They didn't torture for cruelty. They tortured to understand. It was clinical, dispassionate. Until they met the human. He was known only as Keller. They strapped him to the trial chair. Carbon restraints, spinal needles. They checked the instruments again. By hour 17, technicians begged to be relieved. Not because of Keller, because of themselves. By hour 30, they'd run out of standard protocols. They forgot about time. They forgot about pain. All because they thought this human was broken. He was nothing but a vegetable. Or maybe he was more than that. They believed the scream meant the human was breaking. But Keller wasn't screaming in defeat. He was releasing something. The Dominion had anticipated this. They knew humans clung to life. But this was different. This wasn't a reflex. This was hope. The human was gathering himself for one last defiant act. tearing himself from the brink of death to deliver one final blow to his executioners. Except, that's not what happened. Not even close. Because after that first breath, he took another and another. His chest rising, falling, rising, falling. He opened his eyes, unfocused at first, then finding Talzak staring back at him. "About time," Keller croaked, his voice a broken whisper. "Thought you were going to let me die. Thought you were stronger than me." He tried to sit up, wincing as the restraints bit into his flesh. "Took you long enough," he added, watching as the readout slowly, steadily returned to normal. "I have questions," Talzak said, stepping closer. "So many questions." "You want answers, Zalith?" Keller rasped, a cruel smile twisting his lips. "You should have brought a bigger damn book." He closed his eyes, leaning back as the Dominion, stunned, silent, finally got to work. One of the younger technicians, barely 50 cycles into service, said afterward that the scream didn't sound like pain. It sounded like someone letting go of a leash. Overseer Talzak wasn't listening. He was activating phase phenolus, a neural bombardment that induces false death. It forces the body to shut down the limbic system, then violently revives it. Death, resurrection, death, resurrection. Most subjects lasted 10 minutes before begging to stay dead. Keller lasted 3 hours. They watched his pupils dilate, his muscles spasm, his spine arch. Every monitor flashing critical. They thought they had one. Then he started humming. Not screaming. Humming, a low, familiar earth tune, something none of them recognized. But it echoed in their ears. Wrong, like it didn't belong in this universe. By hour 36, half the lab staff requested reassignment. That was when Subject Vec, a Zalith researcher who had assisted in hundreds of similar trials, snapped. He threw down his tools, walked into the cell. "Why?" Vec demanded. "Why do you resist? What makes you so?" Keller cut him off. His voice was raw, broken, but steady. "You want to know what makes us different?" He leaned forward, restraints groaning. "We don't run from pain. We eat it, mold it, bury it deep and burn with it. You think this is torture?" He looked straight into Vec's two wide alien eyes. "This is familiar. I've lived worse. Buried friends. Buried my own damn soul. And when you've got nothing left inside," he smiled, "you stop fearing the fire." Vec backed away, trembling. Talzak ordered his removal, but it was too late. Vec clawed at his own head, screaming, crying, "It's in me. He put it in me. The pain. It's spreading." They sedated him. He died an hour later. Not from injury, from terror. By hour 45, they tried sedatives on Keller. Forced coma. Chemical numbness. He stayed awake. They tried memory wipes. He remembered everything. They tried psychic invasion. The psychic began to laugh mid-link, uncontrollably, horribly, until blood leaked from her mouth and her heart stopped. No one dared enter the chamber again. By hour 50, Talzak sent a message to High Command. "Subject has surpassed all pain thresholds. Psychological warfare ineffective. We believe we may be observing a form of emotional immunity unique to humanity. Awaiting permission to terminate subject for post-mortem study. Permission was denied. They wanted more. The Dominion believed this human might hold the key to surviving a galactic threat far greater than Earth. So they pushed further. Hour 60, Keller stopped responding altogether. His heart rate dropped. Temperature fell. Eyes open, but unmoving. Still, slowly, slowly, his lips curled again. Into that smile, maybe he was a ghost. How could any living creature survive what he'd endured? They didn't know, couldn't know, shouldn't know. But still they watched, fascinated, horrified, desperate for answers. In the beginning, there were screams. Then there was silence. By hour 31, The Zaleth Dominion celebrated too soon. Then, nothing. For 5 long hours, nothing changed until just before their prisoner expired. His chest rose. In a shallow, shuddering breath, "Ah, yes. The new story is up." You can read it on the website or listen to it as a podcast on various platforms. By hour 63, the Zaleth began to fear they hadn't captured a man. They'd awakened a curse. Overseer Talzek paced the observation deck. His subordinates avoided his gaze. Every technician who stayed on the project had filed emergency psychological clearance forms. They weren't just unnerved. They were afraid of being in the same room as Keller. They couldn't explain why. As they moved toward Keller, one malfunctioned and opened fire. He looked up, eyes hollow and bottomless. "You forgot to measure the cost. Unassisted, unarmed, unstoppable. No human should endure what you have," Talzek hissed. "End it now." "Here I am. We just wanted to learn." Keller's voice dropped to a whisper. "Then learn this." He raised one hand. The floor beneath Talzek's feet cracked. The walls bent inward like they were afraid of him. Hell isn't fire. Hell is memory. Remember everything. A pulse of invisible energy blasted from Keller's body. Every screen in the complex shattered. Lights burst, weapons short-circuited. A darkness fell, not from the loss of power, but something older, like grief that had shape, like rage that had mass. No warning. It turned its weapon on a fellow drone, then another. By the time they shut it down, 4 were destroyed. "He's hacking them," Talzek barked. "No, Overseer," said the tech. "He's not linked to anything. There's no signal." The drone just broke. They looked through the glass. Keller was still sitting, still smiling. They entered cautiously. Restraints released. Still no reaction. 2 soldiers moved to lift him. One touched Keller's arm and collapsed instantly, screaming. His flesh boiled like acid touched it. The second staggered back, crying out, "He's hot, he's on fire," but Keller wasn't burning. Not to their eyes. That's when they realized the trial didn't change Keller. It changed the room. The very air hummed. Like the metal itself was remembering every scream, every probe, every burn. And Keller was still at the center, untouched, like an eye inside a hurricane. For 3 days and nights, Keller had sat motionless in the center of the Zaleth war room. 3 days since they'd brought him here to measure his pain tolerance, to see how long it took for a human to break under psychic pressure. How long it took for him to beg for death. But Keller hadn't moved, hadn't spoken. He just stared, with that unblinking, bleeding smile. "End the trial," Talzek ordered. "High Command won't," I said. "End it," he roared. Silence. The technicians exchanged glances. Some looked away, shamefaced. Others showed no fear, only curiosity. "Overseer, I don't think we have a choice. We have to keep him alive." Why? Because ending the trial would mean admitting defeat. If we release him, the humans will know we failed. And if we kill him, what if he doesn't die? What if he brings that plague back with him? I don't care if he brings back plague. I want him dead. On my orders? Yes, sir. It took 12 security drones to unlock the chamber. Talzek stepped in himself, approached him directly. "What are you?" Finally, Keller spoke. Slowly, softly. "You wanted to measure human pain." Overseer Talzek staggered backward. Behind him, alarms wailed. Then, without warning, Keller stood. "This is the archives, and these are the lost tales of the greatest galaxy far, far away. In the hour of plenty, the Dominion had Earth surrounded. No ship could enter or leave. No call went unanswered. No soldier unfed. No weapon unmaintained. The Dominion thought they had everything under control. They were wrong. Their most secure facility had become haunted, like someone cracking every joint after being held to still for too long. He didn't remember much, only fragments. Screams, explosions, a burning ship, an escape pod. Cold. He didn't care about any of it, except maybe the burning ship. Because that meant one thing. Everyone was coming home. At first, the galactic public thought it was propaganda. Then the Zalith confirmed. The footage was real. Hour by hour, cut by cut. Laugh by terrible, echoing laugh. Billions watched the moment when Keller said, "We go to hell," smiling. The phrase became legend. Graffiti across prison walls, freighter hulls, slum moons. Even the Dominion's own soldiers began whispering it. Some defected. Some prayed. Others volunteered to go to Earth, not to conquer, but to learn. But not by ghosts, by a human they couldn't kill. The only words he said upon arrival were, "Don't let them forget," and he vanished. Keller woke up in the woods, barefoot, bare-chested, muscles trembling with aftershock. Not from pain, but from containment. May your people be kind, and may you find a hero to write your story. If you like this kind of content, you should definitely check out the series. I've been your narrator. Till next time, remember, you can't always choose your destiny, but you can choose how you carry it. Others say he lives beneath the ice, guarding an old flame that never goes out. But every alien now knows you can kill a human, but you can't break one. Sirens howled, doors sealed, defense turrets activated. None of it mattered. Keller felt no fear, only curiosity. What was happening here? What was left to defend? Then turned around and opened fire. Not at him, but at its own control hub. A ship hovered overhead, red lights pulsing, ready to vaporize everything below. He stared at it. It didn't fire, not because it couldn't, because the pilot refused the order. Inside the bridge, the officer who'd watched the experiment from orbit whispered, "He's still standing." "After all that, sir," said a comms tech, trembling, "I think we made a mistake." Technicians screamed, scattering. A scientist cowered behind a console. He was the same one who had inserted the neural blade in hour 12. He begged for mercy. "Please, don't hurt me. I was just following." Keller didn't touch him, didn't speak. Just looked at him, and the scientist collapsed to his knees, sobbing. "What are you? What are you?" Keller walked past him. "You wanted a god," he said. "You made a devil instead." Walking through the broken corridors, he saw technicians huddled in the corner, cowering. One of them pointed a shaky finger at Keller's chest. "He's the devil." Another added, "He killed everyone." But Keller didn't care about that either. He wasn't interested in killing anyone. He just wanted answers. A drone descended, weapons primed. Keller raised one finger at it. Stopped, hovered. High Command ordered an orbital strike on the facility. Keller knew. He walked outside. Blood-dried skin cracked under the stars. Across the galaxy, the footage spread. Leaked, banned, redistributed, reposted, and Keller. He returned to Earth, not in chains, not in rage, but in silence. Some say he died in the woods. These are the lost tales of the greatest galaxy far, far away. Years passed. The Zalith Dominion fell, not to war, not to revolution, to memory. No one wanted to be the species that tortured the man who laughed through hell. No one wanted to be the ones who learned too late. Humans don't fight for victory. The hero might have saved the kingdom, defeated the dragon, but now that the deed is done, all anyone remembers are the flaws in his armor, the cracks in his sword. You know why? Because no one's perfect. Legends are made of people who struggled to be heroes. Then one day, out of nowhere, life ignited. Single cell, multicell, vertebra, brain, thought, soul. Because everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has a truth to share. I mean, look at you. You are a universe unto yourself. Solar system of thoughts and feelings and memories and experiences. You are a constellation of hopes and dreams and fears and expectations. You are stardust and starlight and plasma and gas. You are an eternal flame. You are the laughing man. You are the legend, and I believe in you. So what do you believe in? Believe in yourself. Believe in your legend. Don't let it die. Because if you let it die, then none of this means anything. None of this was worth it. Do you hear me? It wasn't worth it. Humans came from nothing. Nothing, I tell you, into existence and ascended to become legends. Get up right now and laugh in the face of hell. Laugh at the things that seem impossible. Laugh at the things that scare you. Because if you can laugh, you can endure. If you can endure, you can overcome. If you can overcome, you can conquer. And if you can conquer, you can be a legend. I believe in you. So what do you believe in? Believe in yourself. Believe in your legend. And remember, legends don't break. They endure. And we can do it again. We have before. We came out of the water onto land. We left Africa and walked into Europe, into Asia, into the Americas. We stared down the ice and built civilizations. We stared down disease and invented medicine. We stared down war and built peace. Every time humanity seemed destined to end, we did something miraculous, something that seemed impossible. Yet, we did it. Because humans are legends. They fight because they choose to stand even in defeat. No stars, no planets, just endless night. But that didn't last. One day, out of nowhere, a blue light ignited. We forget the past when things get hard, when we think we can't go on. We forget the struggle to build this world. So, look around you. Look at what we created. Look at what we became. It wasn't easy. We faced so much, and we survived. We're survivors. We are resilience. We are the ones who pick ourselves up and keep moving forward. We are the laughing man, Keller, the one who refused to bend. We are the legend that refuses to die. Because legends don't break. Legends endure. We endure. A single spark in an abyss. The first star was born. And everything changed. Light pushed against darkness. Gravity wove a cradle for planets. Stars exploded, leaving scars of light and dust. Elements fused, creating atoms, molecules, life. All because one tiny spark decided to become a legend. Children across alien worlds grew up hearing the story of the laughing man. Teachers tried to erase it. Governments tried to censor it. It didn't matter. Because it was true. One day, a young Zalif student, years after the fall, found a recording in the archives. The final footage from Observation Chamber 6. She watched it in secret. Hour 71. Keller had been immobile for over 2 hours. His vitals had flatlined 6 times. They'd pushed acid through his veins, shattered his ribs, severed muscle from bone. He should have been comatose. But suddenly, without sound, he smiled again. His lips moved. No audio. But with lip readers and neural enhancement tech, the student translated the words. They weren't for his captors. They were for himself. Almost there. Make it count. They'll never understand love if they don't see what we'd suffer for it. For Earth, that clip became the most watched file in galactic history. Not because of the torture, but because of the grit, because of the faith, because Keller didn't break for revenge. He endured for something beautiful, something alien species couldn't grasp. Not rage, not pride, but love. A memorial was built where the Zalif lab once stood, not by humans, by the former enemies. Etched in every known language were his final confirmed words. We go to hell smiling. Because what waits for us on the other side is worth it. Across the stars, species learned that humans were not the strongest, nor the fastest, nor the most advanced. But they were the only ones who could face death, pain, eternity itself, and grin back. That was the moment the galaxy stopped calling them primitives and started calling them what they truly were: legends. But let me tell you something about legends. You usually find them in stories told around campfires, stories of old. And you won't believe this, but in the beginning, the universe was a dark, cold void. The same goes for our solar system. Eons ago, Earth was just a spinning ball of rock and dust. I say that because we tend to forget. You know why legends live forever? So get up.